What do you make of the defense closing argument so far?
Well, I don't mean this as a criticism, but it's standard. I mean, we have two very good defense attorneys right here at this table, Jeremy and Duncan. I imagine either of them could walk down to the courthouse right now and give the same closing argument that Mr. Blanche is giving. You would proclaim that Mr. Trump is innocent. You would claim that Mr. Cohen is a creep and can't be trusted. And you would tell the jury that the government hasn't met its burden of proof. This is standard defense fare. Again, not a criticism, just an observation.
And the problem with what I think he's saying is that it is just belied by the evidence. You know, Michael Cohen, there's no retainer agreement. There were no invoices. Michael Cohen made $4 million in that year, 2017. He charged, I think he said he worked 10 hours for Mr. Trump while he was his personal assistant. He was really doing this so that he can grift on other clients. And so there's no evidence that he was actually billing any hours as Mr. Trump's personal attorney. And this number, $35,000, is not just a magic number pulled out of nowhere. There are two exhibits, Exhibit 35 and Exhibit 36 in this trial, which have Alan Weisselberg's handwriting all over it. And that is the calculation of how you get to the $35,000. It's not a magic number.
Jeremy, it's really the first building block of this process for the defense. But is that first building block pretty much standard?
It is pretty much standard, and I appreciate Chuck saying that we're good defense attorneys. Duncan, you're a very good defense attorney. But all joking aside, you know, what I think they did was a little bit dangerous. You know, it started off Blanche saying, we want or expect more than Michael Cohen. Mm-hmm. He's just opened that door for the prosecution to hammer him. And what I mean by that is, you know what? You deserve more than Michael Cohen. And guess what? You got more than Michael Cohen because you got Mr. Pecker. You got Hope Hicks. You've got, as you just said, the exhibits 35 and 36. Handwritten notes by Weisselberg. What else did you get? You have call logs. You have so much. This is not the Michael Cohen show, despite the fact that absolutely, unequivocally, that's the end game for the defense. If you don't like Michael Cohen, you don't want him to date your sister, you don't want him to be your neighbor, but that's not what this is about. I may not like him either, but he's telling you the truth. And he got eviscerated and knew he would do that, and he still came here, but there's more than Michael Cohen. So they opened this door, and if I'm the prosecution, I'm frothing a little bit, ready to respond.
And here is how he is continuing on with his closing argument right now. He says, there is no evidence President Trump knew anything about this voucher system, anything. And I don't know how the government will address that. And if they read you quotes from a book a decade earlier, you should be suspicious. That's a red flag, Blanche says. Blanche goes on to say something he wrote in a book assisted by ghostwriters. Proof beyond a reasonable doubt does not include passages from a book decades earlier. There's a problem in the proof. Jessica, what do you make of that? And do you think that's a strong argument that Trump didn't know anything about these particular documents in question, and you can't rely on what he has said about how he looks at finances from a decade earlier?
So I think the weakest part of the prosecution's case thus far is connecting Trump to the falsification of the records. I think that that's the part where they're most dependent on the credibility of Michael Cohen's testimony, because he was the one in the room with Donald Trump talking about this falsification scheme. According to Michael Cohen, apparently Alan Weisselberg was there too, but the jury hasn't heard from Alan Weisselberg. Which they pointed out, it sounds like, in these closing arguments. They said, where was Dylan Howard? Where was Keith Schiller? Where was Alan Weisselberg? And what the prosecution is going to do when it has its opportunity to address the jury is to say, you know what? There are a lot of other witnesses who the defense didn't mention to you, like Hope Hicks and David Pecker, who corroborate critical aspects of Michael Cohen's testimony. And they're the documents that corroborate Michael Cohen's testimony about the falsification scheme. And so at the end of the day, there's a very, very small amount of Michael Cohen's testimony that's not corroborated by documents and other witnesses. And there's lots of circumstantial evidence to corroborate what Michael Cohen is saying about this particular part of the story. But would the prosecution then also be able to now address why Alan Weisselberg's not there? Will they be able to say in theirs, because Alan Weisselberg is in Rikers and is a totally unreliable guy who's, you know, lied on the stand multiple times, is why you didn't hear from him, but you can still look at his handwriting on these documents? Well, it's going to be very interesting what they're permitted to say. We haven't actually seen what the judge is going to instruct the jury about the absence of Alan Weisselberg and what the parties are permitted to argue from it. Certainly, the prosecution is going to be able to point to the corroborating evidence without the presence of that witness about Alan Weisselberg's handwriting, for example, on the records that Duncan was referring to. I think they're going to be limited, though, in what they can say about what the jury could could or could not infer from the absence of Alan Weisselberg on the stand.
So, Chuck, in this time that we have, it could be hours that the defense is going to be up. What is the principal point distilled down that the defense has to show?
That the government failed to meet its burden of proof.
And it's all about burden of proof.
It is, because it's on the government. It's always on the government. It never shifts to the defense. And so all of these arguments are really tailored to that. You can't trust Michael Cohen. To Jessica's point, there's no good direct evidence tying Mr. Trump to the intentionality required to show that he falsified the records. Maybe they would argue that the causation doesn't exist, Jose. But it's all really tailored to this notion that the government has failed. The government, of course, I think, my view, has put in a compelling case. That doesn't mean the jury is going to convict. But if you're the prosecutor in this case, you can sit down at the end of the day and say, I called the witnesses I wanted to call. I asked the questions I wanted to ask. I introduced the evidence I wanted to introduce. We have met our burden. And I think you'll hear that sort of pushback in the 4.5 hours of closing argument from the defense, from the prosecutor later today.